All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening to another Global from Asia podcast. This is also in video form for those choosing to do our video. And it's a pleasure to get with us Steve Selikoff. I've gotten to see him speak at the Canton Fair and in the Global Sources Summit in Hong Kong. And it's definitely a real pleasure to have you on today. Thank you for making it, Stephen.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It's good to see you again. And frankly, I can't wait until we can see each other in person and travel and everything else.
Yeah, tell me about it. I mean, we were chatting a little bit before the recording, and yeah, I mean, this show is coming out in September 2020. So obviously, normally everybody would be getting hyped up to, about events and networking at Canton Fair and the Global Sources fairs and everything. But I don't think, we don't think that might not be the opportunity this year, 2020. It was even rough in 2019. I think we met and Hong Kong was on fire when we met. So, I mean, literally, and things have been really, I don't know what's the word, very unique from the old days, at least the days I know of the trade show seasons. But yeah, I do look forward to meeting in person again sometime soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so today there's so much we could talk about, but I think when I think of you, I've learned from your speeches and your content about retail sales, with Amazon or e-commerce in mind. So I think you're like a great bridge of content and knowledge for, e-commerce sellers trying to dabble into retail. And so that's kind of what I'd like to talk about today. And you've done amazing things, Canton Fair experience. You're also running the Product Development Academy, which is your program. And you also have an amazing book, which we'll talk about later, which is like the Bible. It seems it's a massive one. So that's a big treat for anybody. So do you want to just add to that, or give us a little bit of background about yourself?
So Canton Fair experience, we're not doing that anymore. Doing Product Development Academy, which has got more of a focus of exactly what you're talking about.
Great.
What is the next step if you're already selling on Amazon and you're looking to take a bigger step, broaden your audience? If you are a Shark Tank fan or an inventor looking to step into manufacturing and working with China, or if you're a beginner that wants to take a different path. The way I like to describe it is that all of us are looking at developing products and, frankly, using them to make money. So Amazon is one sales channel, a great platform, and selling to retailers is another one. And I started back in 2001 selling to retailers. Then I started importing or developing and importing from China in 2005. And I think that in 2006, when Amazon announced FBA,
you were
less than 3 weeks later, I was on FBA. So I have a little breadth of experience in everything.
It's amazing. Yeah, I know. I remember your being one of the first on Amazon. I think So just so people realize,
it's a nice way of saying I'm old.
Yeah. I don't know. I have to say, I was resisting FBA when I saw the program, because I was selling mostly on my website and eBay. I was doing the bar supplies, and I used my own third-party fulfillment, and I remember I just didn't want to use their fulfillment, but I was wrong. I remember those days, and they were, man. We all had. It was just no idea. Nobody had any idea. I think even then, Amazon was only, at least for me, like 10% of sales, or it was not significant, I think, for most sellers.
Well, it still is. A lot of sellers talk about Amazon, and they'll talk about percentages that just aren't accurate. I think that there's a little bit of misunderstanding of how big it is. First of all, when you get outside the United States, for example, if you get into Australia, Amazon's still relatively new. Same thing in parts of Europe. But more importantly, in the US, it is a super strong platform. It is the strongest, obviously, of all online platforms. but it's still, when you look at all of retail, it's just over 5%. And that is actually a huge change because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So here in the U.S., Jeff Bezos was called to testify in front of Congress, and
Yeah,
he
I
sat in front
remember.
of Congress and he said, "Amazon's 4% of the retail market." What he didn't say was the fact that he was quoting from his letter of April last year when he wrote his famous apology letter to shareholders saying, "Hey, we've been miscalculating our market share. It's not 4.8%; it's 3.7%." And he told all of his staff to always quote it as just under 4%. Well, it has grown 40%, and the online e-commerce market has grown from 10% to 15%. So when you add all of that up, the numbers now come out to just over 5%
Wow.
of the retail market. But that means that there is 85% of the retail market is still retail stores. And in the midst of COVID, those stores are still going strong. Amazon, this is going to shock lots of people. In April, Amazon lost market share to Walmart.com. And Walmart.com is just kicking it right now.
Yeah.
So Amazon they had a great opportunity and they stumbled. I don't think they're going to stumble again if this sort of thing happens. They've learned their lessons. They're smart, but they let Walmart step in a little bit. And for everyone who's selling on e-commerce, if you're not thinking about expanding to Walmart.com right now or other .coms, you should be, because Walmart is where Amazon was, in 2015. Jump on it, start selling, get some
Agree.
experience, use it
Totally
now.
agree. Totally agree. Yeah, I mean, I've been hearing a lot of chat about that, and yeah, I mean, Walmart just had their earnings. I think their stock went up. They surprised or they beat their expectations, and yeah, their online retail is really doing well. So, let's go to the mindset. For going retail. I know I always like your the way you share things. So these e-commerce sellers, a lot of people just feel like, I don't know. I don't want to offend people, but a lot of times Amazon sellers are lazy. They're sitting on they have their, it's almost like I talked to somebody lately. They said like selling on Amazon versus non-Amazon, like even a shopping cart like Shopify or another channel, is like a total different worlds. Is what that's a whole discussion. But and then retail, they feel like it's just so different. Like, how could I really go into retail? It just seems like a daunting. Like, what do I need to set up? Plus, we mentioned FBA, so I don't know if that even we could talk about that later. But what's the mindset somebody has to have, to dabble into retail or get into retail?
I think the mindset is once you think of your own business as being a business and not a side gig, then retail is a natural step. And it's not that difficult. It's just that it's complex and there aren't thousands of videos on YouTube to watch for free. So there's a lot of myths and misunderstandings. But I'll be honest, I think retail is easier than Amazon.
Okay.
So if anyone's lazy, it's me. I would rather take the simple way out and make more money. I'm working. I just made it. You make one sale on Amazon, you sell one product. You make a sale to an independent retailer, a specialty store. Now you're selling in bulk. So immediately that one sale could be 18 products, and then you're reordering again and again. So now you're looking at 36 products and so on. Or one sale to a big box retailer. I even during COVID, I just landed a really nice retailer with 2,700 stores.
Amazing.
Um,
Congrats.
that's one sale, and it is, now you're talking life changing.
Agreed. Yeah. So I guess the thinking is, so I think you already answered this, but so we're in COVID or post COVID. Some people say retail is, there's been some even articles, maybe it's like clickbait or whatever, but saying like retail is dead, or, the acceleration of e-commerce is, gone 5-10 years ahead because of COVID, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, what do you say to that kind of?
I would say read the numbers. The numbers I was telling you about just now, those were
Yeah,
printed
exactly.
in
Yeah.
S&P, Standard and Poor's. Came out yesterday. So, I mean, those are accurate numbers. That's the information coming out of their quarterly reports and so on. But I
Okay.
think the other thing to look at is what happens as stores open up. Right now, retail stores, small ones, are facing big challenges because they're still paying their rent and their mortgages, and they've got stale inventory. They haven't been able to get customers in. But then as they open up, and we saw this just a couple of months ago as a couple of lockdowns were lifted, suddenly stores were growing at 17%, 21% year over year. Um, the in-store experience is as much emotional as it is business. There's a term, retail therapy. People
Okay.
feel good going into a store. Stores are built on the psychological and emotional aspect of shopping. So, so follow me a moment. Think about this. We're going to talk about two different types of stores: the
Okay.
big box stores, and then the small independents and specialty stores. The moment you walk into a big box store, and there's a good chance that you have a shopping list. You say, "Oh, I've got to go to the store to pick up grapes or shoelaces or I don't know, some sort of cleaning something for the car, whatever it is." When you go into that store, you give up that list the moment you grab a shopping cart because you are acknowledging that you're going to buy more than you can carry in your hands. You're going to buy more that's on your list, and you immediately enter a scientifically driven design to get you to buy what you didn't expect to buy. The layout, the racetrack, the aisles, the width of the aisles, the height of the shelves, the lighting, this music, the fragrance in some stores, and of course,
Mhm.
the packaging on
Yeah.
each individual item. It's all built to get you to put something into that cart that was not on your list. And frankly, if you're like me, you get home and you say, "Oh, got a compelling package with shelf impact." Uh, if it is something that sparks an emotion, a desire, or ring in the cart, and then it gets more powerful, because as we said, it's emotional retail therapy. There are some groups that treat shopping as a social occasion. You can go into any store from Walmart to Nordstrom's, and you can easily see four or five teenagers together, boys and girls, because they are going together. They are seeing this as a group thing.
Hmm.
Uh, you see best friends, up, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, still walking along, talking, chatting, saying, "Oh, look at this, look at that." That social experience is not there. And then you have my favorites, which are the independents and the specialty stores, the gift stores, and so on. Completely different experience. There's
Great.
no shopping cart. You walk in there, you don't have a shopping list for this. When someone walks into a specialty store, they're hoping to find something that they didn't expect. It's a treasure hunt. They will walk up and down every single aisle. They will look at everything on the shelves. It's merchandise to capture their attention and say, "Look at this. Um, I'm grabbing a vertical bento box, and I'm going to use that at work or whatever." No one's ever seen it before. And if they're excited about it, when they get home, they they put it on social media. They tell their friends. They say, "Look at this. This is now," they get an emotional feeling of success because they have won the treasure. Producing a new product, you can't hope for anything better than that. That's what people get. And that experience for the customer, combined with the fact that the buyer is purchasing in bulk, you can see why I love selling to retail. It really is powerful.
Awesome. Yeah, I like it. I like the. It's true. Like those. I don't know if I've maybe used the wrong word. I could call it mom and pop, but yeah, I mean, or the
Hmm.
boutique or the specialty store, or you go on a holiday, you walk down the street on a small town and you see a nice little store and the bells ring, the ding ding,
Yes, yes.
you open the door and the little jingles, and yeah, it's totally different. I like that. Um, so so maybe I think people listening or tuning in are probably interested. It's not like they don't want to do it, but and I know I kind of asked it before about when, but what the mindset we talked about it, and should it be a certain sales volume? Do they need a certain skill set, a certain person, a certain type of product? You know, um,
It
I guess
all it all it all
yeah.
starts with the product. It all starts with the product. It is, people think, oh, it's great. I just want to find out how to make sales to retailers, and that is a complete art. In our program, we've got one of the best ever, who has so much experience in selling to big box retailers and so on. But it actually starts at the very beginning with the product. So you're choosing a product, and everyone tells you to differentiate. I have a copy of Jack Trout's book, Differentiate or Die.
Awesome.
That's differentiating is so important. So you start off differentiating, and some people will look at the reviews that, 2, 3 star reviews, and they say, okay, what's wrong? What could be made better? If you take that the next step, and you say, how can I change this that no one else has changed? Now you're going to start creating a product that's ready for retail, because it's going to be different than anything else that's out there. It's going to attract people who are truly interested in the product. And when you come down to the very basics, now I'll tell you, in the book you had mentioned in our course, we go through a series of what's called phase gates, go no go decisions about whether or not you're going to create your product. But at its core, there's basically two decisions. One, do customers want it? And are they willing to pay for it at a level that it's going to be profitable? So if you have a product that you can differentiate so that it's not something already on the store shelves, and if you can make it at a margin, at a multiplier high enough that you can make money, then everything else starts becoming gravy. And it really is that simple. If you can do that, you're going to have success on Amazon, and you're going to have success in retail. You're not going
Okay.
to be worrying about competitors. And frankly, you could, if you want to pursue it all the way, literally build a brand, build a business, and make, I hate to use this word because it's used by all the gurus, life-changing amounts of money.
Awesome. Yeah, this is which goes to the next question. I think is one we want to make sure we cover is, how does revenue or does revenue compare on retail versus Amazon? Like you already kind of hinted towards it before. You got a big, you get one big sale,
You have,
right?
I don't have my phone or my calculator, so I'll let you do the numbers on this.
All
Okay,
right, let me get my.
go find your phone here. Okay.
All right. Yep.
So the retailer I was telling you about just landed a nice big retailer during COVID. They have 2,700 stores,
Okay. 2,700.
and we are starting off with two products, but at the moment we'll just deal with one product just for making the math easy. We know from tests in similar stores that we sell 10.5 a week, but again, to make the math easy, let's just say we sell 5 a week.
Okay.
So if you take 2,700 stores times 5 a week, okay, and the revenue, the amount that we sell to the retailer, we sell retail, it's on the shelf for $19.99. We sell to the retailer at $9.99, so let's just say 10,
Okay.
and our profit is $4. So multiply that out, whether you want to say 2,700 times 5 times 10, and that's the revenue, or times 4 and the profit.
Yep.
What does it come out per week?
So a profit is 54,000 US, and then if it's revenue is 135,000 US
per week.
per week.
Multiply
Yeah.
it times 52.
Yep. So yeah,
Multiply that by 52, you're looking at millions of
seven
dollars
million top line,
in
and then,
revenue. Revenue,
yeah,
yeah.
and then
Uh,
times then profits
so
about
that
three
is,
2.8 mil. Yeah.
and that is one of the two products that they're launching us with from one big box retailer. So that's just the revenue compared to Amazon. I don't know any product that will do that amount of revenue or profit on Amazon. But let's take it to the next step, just practicality. FOMO. You've heard of FOMO, fear of missing out.
Yeah.
On Amazon, if you had, well, here we go. Let's say on Amazon, I'll use my little bento box here. Let's say on Amazon that you started off with this little container and it sells really well. And you say, aha, I'm going to expand it and bring in another container. So now you've got two products. This is how you expand on Amazon. It sells really well. You bring out a third product and you're saying, great, I've got three products. This is my brand. It's selling really, really well. And if you want to keep on growing, maybe you'll expand to Amazon Germany or Amazon Australia or Amazon Spain or UK or whatever. In retail, you do the same thing. You sell the first one. It's great. You bring out the second and the third, and you want to expand. Well, let me tell you something. If you're in Target, you're getting phone calls from Walmart. If you're in Walmart, you're getting phone calls from Target. If you're in Home Depot, you're getting phone calls from Lowe's. If you are in CVS, you're getting phone calls from Walgreens and Walmart and Target. So you're taking that success, which was whatever it is, 4,000. It's and I don't know, have the numbers off the top of my head because I actually decreased the numbers for the
Yeah.
math.
Yeah.
But now you're going to introduce that to other retailers. So you're able to expand in multiple directions, and you're able to then do the same thing as Amazon and expand into other countries. So
Great.
success breeds success, and that's why major retailers, that's why celebrities and so on want to get involved in selling to retail. There's a woman who endorsed one of my products back, 15 years ago, named Lisa Lillian. I love her. I will always be grateful to her. She started an empire called Hungry Girl. And Hungry Girl sells cookbooks, they sell food, they sell cooking ware and everything else because products are incredibly profitable. Now, is it something, if you start with a Me Too product, you're not going to be able to grow like that. If the retailers have a light bulb and they're selling 10,000 of this light bulb, and you come along with a light bulb and you say it's the same thing, buy mine. Well, now when the customers come in, they're still going to buy 10,000 light bulbs. It's going to be split between yours and theirs, and it doesn't mean anything to the retailer. They want the cash register receipts to increase. They want their margins to increase for that category. They want their customers, the foot traffic, to increase. So unless you're bringing something like that to the table, that's not going to happen. In the book, I use an example of tent pegs. So if you have a peg or a stake to put up your tent, that's great. If there's already one on the shelves, they're not going to buy yours because the most that's going to happen is you're going to cannibalize the sales from the other. But if you suddenly have a tent stake that also has a little LED light on it so you don't trip over it at night, now they're saying, aha, this is you've got a standard tent stake here. Now we've got a tent stake with LED lights at a different price point here. Our customers have a choice. We're going to be making more money because they're going to spend more money on an LED one. You get a influencer to talk about it, and now people are walking in the store saying, where's that wonderful tent peg with a light that I read about online? Now you're bringing people into the store. They love that. And frankly, we all know it's going to happen. Someone's going to walk into that store and say, aha, tent stake with a light. I don't see it on Amazon. I'm going to put one on Amazon. So, of course, you want to be on an Amazon, but you're also going to be getting competitors. So what happens? Well, you already have a strategy for your product. So a bunch of people are aiming at you and saying, we're going to come out with tent pegs with lights. And you're saying, that's okay. Go ahead and copy it, because I've got a tent stake with a light, and it's got a ultrasonic mosquito repeller.
Mhm.
So when they're aiming for you here, you've already taken 6 steps over there, and you've
Agree.
got the next one. So if you think like that, then you are built for retail. And all of this, and I think it'll start clicking, but all of this works just as well on Amazon, because suddenly you don't have competitors. I love the book 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. He
Yeah.
calls it a monopoly of one, and you become a monopoly of one because you're the only ones out there. You can focus on what's the next thing going to be. Is it going to be tent pegs with mosquito repellent and who knows it, magnetic, so they all stick together when you carry them. You're able to focus on your product and its development and what's the next product and variations, and everyone else is focused on, well, let's copy that tent peg with the light on it, which is, that's your history already.
I like it. Yeah, always try to be 1 or 6 steps ahead, and then, yeah, you can never sit in your laurels. Innovate or die, I think is a saying, or
Hmm.
if you're not,
Yeah,
yeah, I think that's a book name actually, but
it
yeah,
is. It is. It's Jeffrey Gitomer, and I've had a chance to have lunch with him.
wow,
Brilliant sales.
great,
Yeah, innovate or die, absolutely. And
yeah,
this is differentiate or die, which is the
yeah, there we go,
predecessor to Jack Trout.
great. So I'll jump to a couple more questions. It's been fascinating already. One is, I think some people think, even I think, do we need to be in the U.S. to have somebody in the U.S. physically? I think you need to be on the phone. Or somebody has to be on the phone. I think that's probably required. Or I mean, what's your feedback on that?
Not anymore, and particularly because of COVID. So you need to have your inventory in the U.S., particularly as for big box stores, but even for smaller stores, tables, top stores, home decor, kitchenware. It's okay. You don't have to be in the U.S. What you do need is a 3PL solution,
Yep.
and everyone right now is becoming, by necessity, experts in the 3PL solution. Here's here's a great thing to realize. 3PL is not a warehouse. 3PL is a third-party logistics provider. So they can provide so much for you. Is it a warehouse where you're just going cross stock and sending stuff out? Is it pick and pack where you're sending stuff out to customers, and then you could do drop ship like with Wayfair? I had a 3PL in Maryland that did my pick and pack. They did my cross stock. They were sending stuff out to retailers. They were also doing all of the commissions to my sales force.
Wow.
They were sending out samples to retailers as
Okay.
samples needed to be sent out. They were doing accounts receivable. They were even doing collections.
Amazing.
And at that time, I was married. My wife was disabled. I wanted the solution that allowed me to focus on my wife when I needed to,
Got it.
and have the 3PL take care of all of that.
Okay.
So absolutely, you do not need to be in the U.S. And even better, these days, buyer meetings. Now, the buyer is the person that buys for big box stores. Buyer meetings are happening just
Just
like
like
you and I are
this. So,
talking right
yeah.
now.
Yeah. Yeah.
People are learning you don't have to get on a plane and travel.
Okay.
And that's a wonderful realization. It makes it so much easier for people to live anywhere in the world, have a laptop lifestyle, and still sell to retailers.
Great. Um, that kind of answers with the trade shows. Maybe that's also not being as necessary then with COVID. Obviously, even Canton Fair and others aren't global sources. This is not happening this year. So I guess the same probably for, a lot of times people would say go to industry trade shows to get these accounts, get these deals. It probably still is
But
helpful when it is open, right?
it
But
it is helpful when it's open. The there are There's an entire infrastructure for selling to retailers that's invisible to most people. There are special trade shows. There are actual complexes. Both Atlanta and Las Vegas have Atlanta has the America's Mart. Las Vegas has the World Trade Mart.
Okay.
Um, and each of these buildings have showrooms, and retailers can twice a year they have shows where the retailers come in from all over the world and they walk through the showrooms. The products are merchandised, so they're displayed out for
Okay.
people to see them. Um, that's a great opportunity, but here's the part that's even more beautiful. So these showrooms have a sales staff, and that sales staff is going to show your product off. They're going to say, "Hey, look, this is an hourglass made with a little moose,"
Oh,
because
cool.
everyone needs a moose on an hourglass. Uh, and that's wonderful and great for the week and a half, the week that the show is there. But when the show closes down, those salespeople go out to their regions and they travel around from store to store to store on your behalf, selling your little hourglass,
With
um,
mooses, yeah.
and making money for you. The sales staff might focus on a particular retailer. They might focus on big box stores. So again, you don't have to be there. If your product is compelling and you've got a sales staff selling you, it always helps to be there, but it's less and less necessary. And those shows are closed down at the moment. I had a fabulous space at the International Home and Houseware Show. It's been renamed now. And they canceled it because of COVID. And then
Mm,
they brought it back for next February. And they were kind enough to give us the same space. And again, that was canceled. So now it's going to be August of next year. And
wow.
they've given us the same space again, which I'm very, very thankful for. But
Amazing.
when that opens up, I will definitely be there. I want to talk about my product. If
Yeah.
you live in Singapore or you live in China or you live in Germany or Australia, I mean, these days it's not that difficult to hop on an airplane. And if you can turn around, hop on an airplane and have some meetings, and suddenly you're in, 200 specialty stores, it's worth it. It's worth getting on the plane for a few hours.
Great.
People get to know you and your product. So you don't
Awesome.
have to, but it's still very useful.
Sure. So my last, I think, main question is, I think some people think about the payment terms, the financing. There's net 30 or 60. I mean, that's probably the terms of these big box. Don't know if you want, I mean, give us a little bit of insights
Yeah,
about
sure.
that.
Absolutely. So in the US, a lot of big box stores are at 60 days, some are even at 90 days net. In Europe, there's still shorter payment terms, and for independent retailers, specialties, mom and pops, as you call them, um, frankly, don't give them terms. Not unless you've had them for a while. They'll pay up front, and surprised Amazon sellers, they pay for the shipping. Isn't that a nice thing to know?
Yeah, that's
So, plus you have business rules, so you have multiples and MOQs. So, yes, they may fall in love with the moose, but they have to buy 6 or 8 at a time, and there may be an MOQ or a minimum amount to be spent. So the first order, maybe they have to spend $250, and then follow-up orders maybe 150. You get to set all of these rules.
got it.
The challenge becomes your cash flow, and
Yeah.
cash flow is to look at the cash flow. I'm going to approach it the same way they taught us in accounting in college, the same way they teach CPAs. So it's a little bit different than what you see in the Amazon structured of cash flow. If you have product that you have created and it goes into a store on January 1st, and it's going to be sold out in 2 months, so March 1st, it's going to be gone. You need more inventory to put on those shelves on March 1st. So give it 30-day lead time of production, 30 days for shipping. On the day your products go into the store on January 1st, you also have to start production so that by the day you sell out, your new product is showing up, and then so on. So every 2 months, you better have a new order started. And when you're looking at an order of $300,000, you say, wow, how do you do that? Well, you do
Yeah.
it a couple of ways. Number one, you do it with your negotiation. You set yourself up where you're helping out the factory and covering their raw materials up front. So maybe it's 12%, 15%, 16%. You pay that up front. And then you set up terms so that the balance is paid 60 days after receipt of BOL, or in cases of some retailers, literally they'll purchase it in China at the dock, so they're just buying by the container load, which is pretty common. But either way, now you're at either the BOL gets transferred when the boat leaves the dock, so you're 30 days out, you've got receipt. Now you're looking at 30 or 60 days after that. So you put 15% down on January 1st. You don't pay the balance until February 1st plus 60 days, March 1st, April 1st. So you're not paying the balance until April 1st. Well, that's fabulous. Now it gets a little more complex, because what happens is you deliver your next set of products and they arrive on March 1st, just in time to replace the inventory. But you're not going to get paid for the ones you brought in January for 60 or 90 days out. So what do? It is very standard in the industry. If you don't have the cash on hand, and there's lots of ways of doing that, all sorts of ways of financing cash on hand, from investors to revenue-based loans, transactional loans. Even UPS does it. You can get money from UPS to launch your product.
Great.
But let's say you don't. You can also do AR financing. So now under AR financing, the moment you have that accounts receivable, you get 85% of that in your pocket. So a $300,000 order, which costs you $30,000 or $45,000 to start, you suddenly have whatever the retail cost of that is. Let's say it's $1 million. You get 85% of that. So now you have $850,000 in your pocket. No problem. Pay your factory. Don't even wait the 60 days. Pay it that next day. They'll be thrilled to work with you. And then when the rest of that comes in, the AR financing will give you that 15% minus their 3% charge, whatever. And you set it up like that. So there's lots of standardized cash flow solutions that's being done and has been done in the industry for years. It's just not the type of stuff that's apparent to Amazon people, because they haven't been exposed to it yet. But none of this is new. It's all standard. It's done. Nobody expects someone to have $10 million in their back pocket to pay for all this. It's just a different game. People treat you like I don't want to use the wrong word. I'll say treat you like a grown-up. They treat you like an importer that recognizes where that money is. And here's one more. In the U.S., there's even an import-export bank just for importers. Now, you're not going to have access to that as a selling a product, but financing for import-exports, just talk to your banker, and they'll walk you through all of their financial products. Even LOCs is another option. So, yeah, it definitely can be done, and it's nothing to hold you back.
Yeah, it's amazing. Really, I appreciate all this valuable information. Yeah, I mean, we're kind of past our normal time. I really appreciate everything.
I'm sorry.
No, it's good. It's good. I guess maybe for the final, we got through most of my questions, basically through the questions. I think the last one is I always try to have what action can somebody do? Maybe they're selling on Amazon or e-commerce or their shopping cart, and maybe they want to get into retail. I definitely think we'll talk about your book too and your academy, but what's something they can do, like a small, maybe a step or action or thought process change? I guess, what would you say is something they should do first?
The first thing to do is just literally dip your toe in the water. See what it's like. And that's actually a lot easier than they think. Now, it's not going to be simple right now during COVID lockdowns. But just so that you can prepare yourself for hopefully in a few months when lockdowns end, take your product, take your best-selling products, find those that are the most unique or the most differentiated, your mouse that's red rather than any other color, and walk down the street, drive down the street, find local mom and pop, find a specialty store or an independent retailer that sells, for whatever reason, would be selling a red mouse, and walk in and say, hey, I've got this. It's been selling really well on Amazon. It's got some good traction. I'd love to see if are you interested in selling it. And the two things are going to happen. They're going to say yes or they're going to say no. And either way, you have now learned about selling to retailers. If they say yes, they're going to ask you questions like, what's the price? They're going to use terms like keystoning, which means whatever they pay, they want to double the price that the
Hmm.
customers pay. They're going to ask you about the multiples, how many do they buy at a time, and stuff like that. And frankly, we'll talk about the book in a moment, but all those terms are explained in the book and in the
Yep.
course. But that conversation is a great one. Or they're going to say no, in which case you're going to say, well, why? And they'll say, well, because we already have red mice, or because it's not appropriate for our store, or something like that. And now
Okay.
you've learned just as much. You go into another store and walk into another store. That is the very best way of learning. And frankly, since the decision maker is the person that's in the store, you have a really good chance of making a sale and making some money.
Definitely. It's great. It's great advice. Yeah. I think take action, test it. Yeah. Like what's the worst that it can say is no, right? Like you said. So um thank you so much, Stephen, for your time today. Let's talk about the book. It's a massive book. I got a
It is.
copy. I mean, seriously, like it's I know you even have some promotions for it. I mean, this book should is invaluable by itself, and you also have your program, your product development academy.com. Do you want to give us some insights about these so people that are interested with what you do?
Sure. So, Product Development Academy, we take you through everything from the very beginning to coming up with product ideas. Because when you're coming up with unique products, you can't use the tools like Jungle Scout or Helium 10. Those are great tools for identifying existing products and analyzing them. But with new products, there's no history to look at, and it can't magically have an eight ball and give you an idea. So, we take you through a number of steps of coming up with new, unique products. Then we take you through what are called phase gates. And it's fabulous because one of the experts that we have is a fellow named Victor who at Apple, he was hired by Steve Jobs and Johnny Ive, and he talks about that. He's third down. And he talks about the processes at Amazon. It's the exact same thing. It's the phase gates. And we take you through the phase gates to make sure that your product's profitable, that it's going to have customer demand, and so on. And then we
Awesome.
take you through all the steps: design, development, choosing a factory, managing your factory remotely, which is even more important during COVID.
Yeah.
And the experts we have are incredible. Dave, who's one of our mentors, has helped develop products for Shark Tank winners, for Boeing, for Starbucks, and so on. Tim has put hundreds and hundreds of people into big box stores and dealing with purchase orders of, you know, you waking up in the morning and finding $1.5 million purchase order or more. Um, that's what the world's like. I feel like I've only been doing it for with retailers for 15 years, and I've been in front of thousands of the smaller stores. I love those. A good handful of big box stores, but I like surrounding myself by people who know even more. And in the program, you get all of us. Everyone that's taken this is fabulous. Every single person that's gone through Product Development Academy, every single one of them says it's unlike anything they've done before. It fills in gaps and it gives them an approach they've never seen before. But here is the problem: it's expensive. I know that it's expensive. The goal is to keep it small, to give everyone personal attention. Um, and I know that the price keeps rising, but the value is there. On the other hand, I know it was like when I started off. I know what it's like to bootstrap. I know what it's like to say, hey, I'm working, one job and maybe a side gig, and I want to start this up. And that's why the book is out there, because
Yeah.
it doesn't have that personal attention or the experts, but all the information is here as well. And it's on Amazon, and it is information you won't get anywhere else. We've been out at this point about just under 80 days, and we are at 2,780 something books. So people are loving it. It's information that's not found anywhere else. It's, industry thing to retailers. What most people don't realize is that there are online platforms for selling to retailers, just like Amazon sells to consumers. There are retailer platforms that have tax ID that you have to be authorized and approved. But once you get there, you can buy stuff from manufacturers, and you become a manufacturer. There's all sorts of information on marketing, both sell to and sell through marketing, and all of it's in the book. So when you are starting out and you're on a budget, I wanted to make sure that the information was there as well. And then go to the site. When you go to the site, productdevelopmentacademy.com, we'll let you know about promotions, and there are occasionally free downloads of the book for people who are even tighter, because good information is priceless. And hopefully, when you go out, you get a chance to have good, accurate information. You can structure your plans. You can structure your dreams. And if this helps a little bit, then that's incredible.
Yeah, it's great. I know the site has a lot. Also, you give away a lot of free downloadable stuff and everything. So thanks again
Yeah.
for everything you do, sharing like on today's show and at these events and your book and the program, which I agree with. I mean, yeah, it's got to be expensive. I mean, you're giving away all this amazing stuff for free. If people want the real time and access, that's if they can budget it,
So
they should
so
pay.
let's give the alternative to that as well. Also, if somebody is stuck with a question, they read the book and they say, I don't understand this or whatever else, you can also just get on the site and just ask for a free 20-minute consultation. Get
Okay.
me on the phone or on Zoom, and I'll explain things. I'll help you out and stuff like that, because that pays it forward,
Yep.
and that's really, really important. So
Great.
I'm there. I'm available, and I want to see people succeed. I want to give people a taste. It's not just Amazon; it's Amazon Plus, and that Plus is such a wonderful, big world. It's exciting. It's wonderful.
I love it. I think that's a great time to. That's a great quote. We might use that in our show notes for sure. Um, Thank you so much again, and I hope to see you in person someday. But it's always
Uh,
the internet, so someday soon. Thanks.
Absolutely, we will see each other again. Actually, I came across a photo of us together just the other day, and I think there's also um,
I
a
think we have
YouTube video.
yeah, I did a quick
Yeah.
video with you when I was on the
Yes.
phone. I'll try to put it
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
the show notes. Yeah, I put a note so people want to see a little video of us. They can do that on the show notes. Thanks again, Stephen.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and also check out our Instagram at Global from Asia. Thanks again, and see you soon.
E-commerce like over 8 years.